Welcome to the Fantasy Audiobook. Meiman, the Concept of Gods, starting from God rewards those who work hard. Chapter 1. 9 Realms, Asgard, the legendary kingdom of gods inhabited by the Asa gods. A mysterious place where magic and technology coexist. For thousands of years, under the leadership of the previous god King Bor and the current god King Odin, Asgard subdued the dwarves and conquered the dark elves, warner gods, frost giants, and flame giants, and achieved brilliant victories. 1,000 years ago, the nominal dominance of the 9 realms was completely established. At this point, Odin became the first co-master of the 9 realms, and he was fierce and famous for a while. After Asgard gained the dominance of the 9 realms, the Asa god did not continue to expand outward, and the 9 realms entered a period of peace for a long period of time. Asgard's school of witchcraft and wizardry. Although the Asa Protoss has a long history of using magic, and today, magic is used in all corners of life, in fact, the Asa Protoss is far less enthusiastic about magic than they are for hammers, axes and spears. And this phenomenon can be seen in the results of this magic student recruitment. The spacious classroom is filled with dozens of students. Among them, there is only one male student. As the only male in the classroom, Aaron could suddenly understand why Loki was so out of place compared to Thor and the 3 warriors of the Immortal Palace, and even seemed a little feminine. A magic apprentice in a classroom actually flourished and decayed to such an extent. Looking at the women who were whispering in groups of 4 and 3, the corners of Aaron's mouth twitched slightly, and he was not in a good mood. What did he hear? The group of women were wondering if they were afraid of warrior training and came to learn magic. Warrior training is a military training that every Asgardian must participate in, including strength improvement and combat skills training. Only after completing the warrior training can you become an honorable Asgardian soldier. If you do not pass the training, then you can only become a weak ordinary person. In addition to participating in warrior training, choosing to cultivate magic is another way. At present, the entire atmosphere in Asgard is to advocate primitive hand-to-hand combat. Real men should go to warrior training, become a good warrior, and give death to enemies with sharp blades in their hands. As for magic, it has been completely reduced to an auxiliary means, and is usually used more for enchantment. Often only people who do not have the qualifications to become qualified warriors will try to cultivate magic. It can be said that whether it is a woman or a man, if there is a chance to become a warrior, then they will definitely not choose to become a mage. First, because magic learning is difficult, the time it takes to master a magic can be used to complete more warrior training and enter the battlefield earlier. Second, because some mages used their own weird magic to run amok, causing quite serious bad effects. So, today, mages are far less popular than warriors. Of course, this does not affect Aaron's decision to study magic. As a traverser, Aaron will not miss an opportunity to improve his strength. Thinking of his environment, Aaron's heart was a little heavy. He was lucky that after crossing to Marvel, he did not become an ordinary person, but became an Asgardian born with 3 times the body density of an Earthling. At least there is a certain amount of self-preservation power. But this is luck and misfortune. Don't look at Asgard's incomparable brilliance at this time, looking at the entire galaxy, it is also one of the top superpowers. But it won't be long before Asgard's false appearance of strength is shattered by Odin's death. At that time, all Aaron needs to think about is how to survive the first round of Hela's slaughter, then how to dodge the sword of Solil, the king of the flame giants, and then how to divide the other half of the Asgardian refugees released by Thanos, and finally go to Earth to survive. You think that's the end of it? No, it's far from over. Even if Aaron gets away with avoiding these 3 rounds of screening, then he has to consider how to gamble that half of his chances of survival in Thanos' snapping fingers. Behind it came the so-called God Slayer. Well, Aaron found that being an Asgardian didn't seem like a good thing. There are so many death crises. At present, if it is only through warrior training, the upper limit is only the level of the 3 warriors of the Immortal Palace, that is, the dragon set character that was casually dropped by Hela. Even if you run to aliens, it is difficult to protect yourself. If you have the opportunity to make great achievements and are loyal enough, you may be able to obtain Odin's blessing, and your strength can reach the level of the former Valkyrie. Or, like Heimdall, get 1 or 2 forbidden spells and barely be able to bounce around the stage once or twice. Well, that's just 1 or 2 strokes. If you want to live a nourishing life, that's too much to take for granted. One of the ways Aaron can currently think of and achieve to improve his survivability and increase his strength is to learn magic. Asgard's magic is not weak, biased towards technique. Whether used in combat or on flight, the effect is barbaric. That's why Aaron came to the Academy of Magic to sign up. Compared to being questioned by a few women, Aaron would prefer to learn a few magic spells he wants to learn, so that he has more room for planning. At this time, a woman in a gorgeous robe pushed the door and came to the podium. Her gaze swept over everyone, and her tone was serious and confident. My name is Aaron, your future magic teacher, the best at illusion magic. In my class, I hope you put away all your thoughts that you shouldn't have and pay attention to the class, otherwise I will let her experience the endless darkness and extreme ice cold of Hades. As she spoke, Aaron snapped her fingers, and the classroom where everyone was in instantly turned into a dark and desolate gobi. Thick fog spread throughout the field of vision, cold wind blew, and chill rushed to the spine. This is magic. That's great. Aaron's eyes widened, and at this moment he realized that the magic of Asgardians' magic was not as weak as it appeared in the movie. Although the Asgardians did not show much magic in the movie, even Loki, who was known as the first mage of the 9 realms, was reduced to the role of Doctor Strange. But in reality, these are all plot needs, and it would be naive to underestimate Asgard's magic just because of this. Hades' fantasy didn't last long. That immersive dark feeling also gave many trainees a dismount. Looking at everyone's frightened and solemn gazes, Aaron nodded in satisfaction, and then withdrew the illusion magic. Works well. After that, the teaching should be a little more honest, so as not to always envy those warriors in the future. By the time she entered the door, Aaron had already known through magic what the trainees were discussing. The same problem arose with every session of the mage in the past. As a teacher of magic, Aaron does not want her students to learn magic, but always envies the warriors. In her opinion, mages are no worse than warriors. Didn't they see that today's queens were famous witches before they got married? The second prince Loki is also an excellent mage. Now he fights alongside the best fighters like Thor. Mages, you should be proud of your identity. In this way, you can concentrate on learning magic in the future study, and you can be alone in the future. This time using magic to give everyone a dismount, but also to let them know the power of magic. Aaron's move was successful. The vision of Hades did bring a great shock to everyone. Everyone temporarily extinguished the idea of becoming a warrior and instead focused on the study of magic. Among them, Aaron noticed Aaron, whose eyes seemed to be bubbling with light. That kind of knowledge-hungry look made Aaron particularly satisfied. Yes, this is the real mage apprentice. Only a thirst for magical knowledge can go further. Unconsciously, Aaron valued Aaron a little. There is also the reason that Aaron is the only male. It is not easy for a strong Asgardian man to come and learn magic without fear of the eyes of others. After thinking about it, Aaron began her first lesson. Magical energy is a very special energy, it fills the entire Asgard. But this does not mean that we can easily master it. In fact, it is quite a difficult thing. Even if the Asgardians with the blessing of the God King, if they want to master this energy, they can only grow little by little after a long period of accumulation. Magical energy reserves take time to accumulate, and over time, our power will become stronger and stronger, which is far from comparable to those warriors who only know how to use brute force. Speaking of this, Aaron showed a smug smile. A good mage, skillfully using magic, can completely defeat more warriors. Even the best guards guarding the Golden Palace could not defeat a qualified mage in the same number. The other trainees were skeptical about this, and Aaron never doubted it. The Asgardian Protoss have a characteristic that their divine power will continue to grow as they age. In a way, they will get stronger and stronger before their bodies decay to a certain tipping point. Of course, this is limited to the Protoss royal family, and ordinary Asgardians do not have this treatment. They only relied on their racial superiority to explore the power brought by several times the physical density of Earthlings as much as possible. Even in the past thousands of years, after they have discovered all their strength, the only thing they can improve is their fighting skills. And mages are different. Mages need to accumulate magical energy, and the more energy reserves, the stronger the strength. The most obvious example is Loki. The young Loki, and the old Loki of a certain universe, have a strength gap of 1 heaven and earth. The former has a lot of magic, but only plays with daggers, and magic is more used to tease people. The latter, after thousands of years of accumulation, can use magic to create the entire Asgardian energy entity. This kind of method is not an exaggeration to say that it is the first mage of the 9 realms. This is his own magical energy reserve. But it's not the group of mages who beg Grandpa to tell Grandpa and borrow magic everywhere. Of course, although Loki is not a royal family of the Asa god clan, he also has the bloodline of the leader of the Frost Giant, which is much stronger than one of the mages innately. Aaron didn't think that he could reach that point, he just wanted to improve his strength as much as possible in order to win more chances of survival in the future. Even if you run to the alien in advance in order to avoid disasters in the future, you will not be beaten up by others. Now, I teach you the first step in learning magic, perceiving magical energy. This is the most effective method of accumulating magical energy that all mages have tried and tested through practice for thousands of years. Aaron began to explain to everyone the specific process of accumulating magical energy. This method of absorbing external energy and turning it into its own magical energy reserve does not have an accurate name. Aaron called it meditation. In the way Aaron taught, Aaron took his very serious attempts to sense energy. It was at this very moment. An indifferent voice suddenly sounded in his mind. You have seriously run the Asgardian meditation technique once, and you have gained a little, the magic energy reserve has increased, and the meditation proficiency is +1. Before Aaron could react, a magical energy circulated in his body. It seems that he can control this energy at will with just a slight movement in his heart. This is magical energy. At this moment, Aaron's attention was quickly diverted from the magical energy in his body. His eyes were fixed on the light curtain in front of him, which only he could see. Name, Aaron. Lifespan, 1,005 Talent, heavenly reward for hard work. Skills, Asgard Meditation LV1, 1/10 Fighting LV3, 633 1,000 Gun Art LV3, 723 1,000 Sword Art LV3, 300 1,000 Attributes, Intelligence 3, Strength 4, Speed 3, Endurance 4, Energy Intensity 2, Fighting Skill 4, Set 1 to 7, used for excessive strength in the early stage. Strength Evaluation, Surface Level, Second-Rate Superhero. Introduction, diligent people should be rewarded as they deserve. Your skill level and strength depend on your diligence. As long as you work hard enough, your ability will be infinitely improved. Groove. Can the ability be infinitely improved? Quote. Does this mean that my potential is limitless? Aaron froze. Looking at the meditation column, a little contemplation. Subconsciously run the meditation technique again. You have seriously run the Asgardian meditation technique once, and you have gained a little, the magic energy reserve has increased, and the meditation proficiency is +1. I saw the column of meditation, which was transformed into LV1, 2/10. The proficiency of meditation has increased, and so has the magical energy in the body. Although the magic energy is still very small, and the energy intensity column is still 2, Aaron sees a good road. Now that the level of meditation is still low, the efficiency of absorbing magical energy is also low. If the level can be increased, then will the efficiency also increase. As long as he accumulates enough time and is diligent enough, his magical energy reserves will be no weaker than Loki in the future. No, it can't be described as Loki anymore. Instead, Odin is the base unit. His energy is most likely to surpass Odin's, and even the celestial god group. And that's just meditation. If other magic is learned, even if it's just ordinary magic, such as illusion magic, if the level is high enough, can it also be able to transform the illusion into an entity, and come directly to Asgard like the old Loki? Or even create a physical planet or even a universe? Or promote a popular portal, promote to dimensional teleportation, or teleport across the Marvel universe? Don't be too scary. No matter what world, the strength of magic also varies. Weak magic can't even hurt ordinary people. But strong magic, such as Karmataja's Hog's Ancient Lord and Baset's Thunder, are powerful spells of powerful ancient gods. There is also the Banishment of the Monsoon, which claims to be able to concentrate the magic of the whole universe. Or time magic that reverses time. These are extremely terrifying magic. The power is quite good. If you can learn these magics and improve them through the heavenly Tao, is it possible for magic to go further and incarnate into concepts? Strictly speaking, as long as the accumulation of time is enough, an ordinary magic can rise to the level of killing gods. The rhythm to take off. Eren was stunned by the thought. He just wanted to survive in this dangerous world, but he didn't think that he might become the strongest through hard work. Endless improvements, endless possibilities. At this moment, one of Eren's ideas was invisibly shattered, replaced by an ambition. He wants to become stronger and invincible. Your own destiny must be controlled by yourself. Instead of hoping for luck to avoid death, as before. In between thoughts, Eren threw himself into meditation. Constantly run meditation. You seriously ran a meditation technique and gained a little. You have seriously run the meditation technique once, you have gained a little, the magic energy reserve has increased, the proficiency of the meditation technique is +1, and your meditation technique has been upgraded. Not long after, meditation was promoted to LV2. At this point, 100 proficiency is required to advance again, and each proficiency increase becomes +2. That is, you need to run another 50 meditations to continue to improve. Eren glanced at the data bar, and except for the meditation level, the other values had not changed. So I went into a meditative state again. You seriously ran a meditation technique. While Eren was engaged in meditation, the other apprentices did not slacken, all trying to feel the presence of magic. Although the people here are all Asgardians and have a talent for magic. But getting started in magic is not an easy task. They kept running meditation and couldn't find a way. One by one, their expressions became impatient. Do you feel magical energy? No, I just feel darkness, do you? Me too, magic energy does not exist at all. I already knew that I should still go to warrior training, maybe there will be a chance to fight the 9 realms with Prince Thor. Is it that our meditation technique works wrong? How did there be no movement at all? Quote. After a period of fruitless attempts, everyone temporarily gave up perceiving magical energy, and whispered discussions one by one, exchanging experiences. As more and more people give up, almost all of them exit the meditative state and join the conversation. At this time, Eren, who was still meditating with his eyes closed, seemed to stand out. Someone has spotted Eren who is fully engaged in meditation. Oh, look at him, he seems to have succeeded. Who? Eren. It can't be, none of us have sensed magical energy, how can he succeed? Quote. Maybe, you see how serious he is. Maybe he thinks he still has a chance, he is not ready to give up, and it won't be long before he will give up just like us. Seeing that all the apprentices except Eren had failed. Eren, who had been watching from the sidelines, was trying to comfort everyone. Sensing magic is never easy for beginners, otherwise the mages of Asgard would not have withered away. But seeing everyone turn their eyes to Eren, Eren was stunned to speak. The brows are also slightly clustered. She glared beautifully. This is, magic fluctuations. Quote, Eren senses magical energy. Eren never thought that anyone would be able to successfully get started so quickly. The practice of magic takes a long time to accumulate. Especially beginners, if you want to form combat power in magic, you need years of hard study. After all, not everyone is a genius. And because of the special nature of Asgard, every mage will spend even more time practicing fighting skills while learning magic. The glory of a warrior is always so eye-catching. I still remember when I first learned magic, but it took me several hours to successfully perceive the magical energy. How long did Eren take? Remember, only 10 minutes. I didn't expect to see the legendary magical genius. And also a genius who voluntarily threw himself into magic learning from a warrior. Eren beamed. If an archmage who specializes in magic appears in Asgard, there may be a chance to change the social status of the mage. Attract more people to join the learning of magic. Can't help but be more attentive to Eren. Shut up. Eren has officially become a mage, so don't bother him as he wanders the mysterious sea of magic. Quote. Eren scolded the apprentices to silence and told them to continue meditating, providing Eren with a quiet meditation environment. This is the treatment of a magical genius. Hearing this, the others were shocked, and although they did not dare to speak, their respective flickering eyes had already revealed their thoughts. Next, everyone stopped discussing and quietly waited for Eren to wake up. Soon, an hour passed. Aaron finally opened his eyes. At this point, the meditation technique has become LV4 1010,000ths. The proficiency level of each meditation is +4, and it will take several hours to continue leveling up. The current environment is clearly not suitable for continuing meditation. In addition, the energy intensity column has finally been increased from 2 to 3. The effect is quite obvious. After all, it only took him an hour from contact with magic to energy intensity increase. There is still a long time to go, and the improvement of strength will only get faster and faster. Right now, Aaron's biggest thing to do is learn new magic. In this way, you can increase your combat power as soon as possible and compare how strong the skills are at LV4 level. After all, before his memory awakened and he learned magic, judging from his previous memories, he had practiced martial arts, gunmanship, and swordsmanship for hundreds of years, and looking at the template evaluation, it was only a 3rd level. Although it is much harder than the average Asgard warrior, it is at most an elite warrior, and even worse than the 3 warriors of the Immortal Palace. And now it's only been meditating for more than an hour, just hundreds of years of study. I have to say, the Goldfinger is too powerful. If you awaken your memories and Goldfingers early, you don't know where 1,000 years have come. Although it was much late, there was still time, and Aaron was confident that he would arm himself to an extremely high level in the remaining time. When I opened my eyes, I was greeted by a face of expectant curiosity, and those eyes were full of hope. The suddenly approaching face made Aaron subconsciously raise his hand to make a fighting art defense move. Before learning magic, he joined the warrior training long ago, striving to become a qualified elite warrior. Learned Asgardian martial arts, practiced skills, as well as marksmanship and sword fighting. It was not until later that he crossed over and found that the time spent and the return on continuing to exercise were not proportional to the benefits, and the decision was made to participate in magic learning at the same time. He didn't want to just be the level of the 3 warriors of the Immortal Palace, he wanted to become stronger. However, when he saw the owner of the face, Aaron stopped his actions and said helplessly, "Teacher, don't get close so suddenly next time, okay? It will hurt by mistake." Quote. "Understood, I'll pay attention next time." Aaron smiled awkwardly, straightened up, and her eyes flashed with curiosity. "How does it feel? Isn't the power of magic so fascinating?" Quote. "Great, I mean it's amazing." In the envious looks of the others, Aaron answered in the affirmative. "By the way, teacher, can you teach me new magic? I can't wait to get to the bottom of magic." Quote. Aaron frowned and looked at the others, a little hesitant. Magic teaching needs to be gradual, and generally speaking, even if beginners perceive magic energy, they need a certain amount of time to accumulate before they can proceed to the next step of teaching. But thinking of Aaron's current talent, a decision has been made in his heart. Yes, but magic learning is not something that can be completed overnight. Although you already have magical energy, but you have only been meditating for a long time, it is likely not enough to cast magic once. Don't be discouraged later. With your talent, you are destined to become a powerful mage that is not inferior to the second prince Loki. Before teaching magic, Aaron also mentally prepared Aaron in advance. Besides, Aaron has only just come into contact with magic, and even if he is extremely talented, he will not be able to cast magic immediately. It may be that after failure, the magical energy of meditation will be exhausted. Aaron didn't want to discourage the other party's enthusiasm, so she said it in advance. Aaron nodded, indicating understanding. Seeing this, Aaron began to tell about the next magic. Asgard has a lot of magic, and the types of magic are different according to the use of magic, and the illusion magic that I am best at is the auxiliary magic. Don't look at illusion magic as auxiliary magic. Once mastered, it can also be used in the battlefield to exert extremely amazing effects. The simplest example is the phantom doppelganger, which creates one or more phantom bodies to confuse the enemy's line of sight. Just like me, at some point, 2 Aaron appeared in front of Aaron's eyes. From the appearance, it is completely impossible to distinguish the real from the fake. Even the fragrance is exactly the same. Fantasy magic is a very special kind of magic, and the illusion doppelganger created is not only the function of confusing the public. If you practice to the depths, you can even create physical illusions. At this time, it can no longer be called an illusion. It is a lethal energy entity that already has the effect of causing damage to the enemy. In addition, it can easily deceive people's senses, just like the previous illusion of Hades. In the eyes of the viewer, what is felt is no different from the real Hades. The two Irenes explained at the same time, and the size and rhythm of the tone were exactly the same. While explaining, Aaron is also teaching the use of illusion magic. Aaron read it and then began to rehearse. You seriously cast illusion magic once, slightly gained, illusion magic proficiency +1. In the skill column, a new ability has also appeared, Phantom LV1 1/10. Seeing this, Aaron's spirit was shocked, and he began to try to practice illusion magic. In order to save mana, first conjure a pen. Then cancel the magic and continue to change it repeatedly. Aaron saw that Aaron had learned illusion magic in an instant, and her eyes were already wide. Odin is on top. What do I see? Magical genius. No, this is a demon. I still remember that Loki, who was extremely talented in magic, did not show such an exaggerated ability to learn magic. Frigga, the diva of heaven, couldn't do it either. Odin, who is high above, can't do it either. In the entire history of magic, there is only one mage who has performed so amazingly. Now that I think about it, just now, Aaron probably sensed the existence of magical energy for the first time, and the rest of the time was familiar with the magic perception process. Before she thought too simply. Aaron was ashamed of what she had just thought. She looked down on Aaron's magical talent. This kind of talent is bound to become Asgard. Oh no, it should be the strongest mage in the 9 realms. Even outside the 9 realms, I'm afraid I can't find a second place, right? Aaron suddenly felt a little difficult to breathe, and looked at Aaron, who was studying blankly, the extremely serious and immature appearance. In her eyes, it seemed to see the brightest star in the future. No, this kind of magical genius is not something I can teach, he needs a better teacher. In this way, he can get the most out of his talent. If I bury this genius because of me, it is really a crime to die. Just when Aaron came back to her senses again after thinking for a short time, she saw the incredible eyes of the apprentices around her. What happened? Aaron realized what had happened to Aaron, and after returning to consciousness, she quickly looked over. This, how can it be? His illusion magic has been able to create illusion doppelgangers. Aaron almost screamed. At the moment, in her line of sight, Aaron was no longer making a pen, but another Aaron. This means that the opponent's illusion magic has gone from beginner to proficient, and has a fairly high level of spell casting. Of course, this is not the main thing. Aaron could see that although Aaron had created an illusion doppelganger, this avatar was only a doppelganger and did not have the ability to attack. The only effect is to confuse. If the opponent is a mage, or someone who is familiar with the mage, it is easy to see the illusion. The main thing is that Aaron, after creating one phantom avatar, soon began to create another. This time's doppelganger is no longer the inferior illusory avatar just now, but a real doppelganger entity. Already has a certain level of combat ability. This level of magic increases speed. Aaron felt that she had completely lived to the dog in the thousands of years of learning magic. She usually prides herself on being a master of illusions, but she has completely lost her pride. Obviously, with Aaron's current improvement rate, it won't be long before he can surpass her in illusion magic. Wait a minute, wrong, isn't Aaron new to magic? How could he have so much magical energy to create an illusion entity doppelganger? Could it be that his perception of the efficiency of absorbing magic had also reached an unprecedented height? Aaron was going crazy. The state of mind is no longer able to maintain calm. Almost losing his mind. There was even a hint of jealousy. Fortunately, Aaron has lived for so long and has a good heart, otherwise she would have faced the wrong because of jealousy and completely lost her self-confidence in magic learning. At this moment, Aaron stopped learning magic. Look at the template. Name, Aaron. Lifespan, 1,005 Talent, heavenly reward for hard work. Skills, Asgard meditation LV4, 1,010 fighting LV3, 633 1,000 gun LV3, 723 1,000 sword art LV3, 300 1,000 illusion magic LV3, 99 1,000 Attributes, intelligence 3, strength 4, speed 3, endurance 4, energy intensity 3, fighting skill 4. Strength evaluation, surface level, second-rate superhero. Phew, Magic energy is about to bottom. It seems that in addition to my study time, another fatal factor that restricts me is the problem of energy reserves. With my current magic reserves, even if I am given enough time, it will be difficult to raise a single magic to an extremely high level in a short period of time. Next, I need to plan the time allocation for meditation and magic training, and of course, the learning of martial arts, gunfighting, etc. cannot be left behind. If you want to do it, be a short-board mage with dual cultivation of magic and martial arts, not a crispy skin. If before, due to his own talent, martial arts and other difficulties were difficult to improve, Aaron would spend more time learning magic. And now, since there is an opportunity for all-round development, it is natural that it cannot be put down. After the brief summary, Aaron raised his head and said with a firm gaze, "Teacher, I want to learn new magic." Quote, "Aaron, learn. In the study, I am afraid that it will not be long before I will be hollowed out by you, and today you will be a teacher." Aaron had thought that Aaron would be better than Blue, but she definitely didn't expect that it would be possible to complete this idea today. "Teacher," Aaron shouted again. He really wanted to learn more magic, and it would be better for Aaron to teach all the magic she knew in one go. In this way, when you go back, you can fully increase the magic level. Of course, he knew that this could only be an idea, and even if he showed such a high talent, it would be difficult for Aaron to make such a decision. "Aaron, aren't you still going to do warrior training? How about you go back and finish your workout first?" Quote. Aaron was embarrassed to refuse, but she was also afraid that she would be hollowed out today, and after thinking about it, a magic book exuding a rich energy aura suddenly appeared in her hand. As a good Asgardian mage, enchantment is a must-have. This book records almost all of Asgard's enchantment magic. You take it first, and study it when you have time. If you don't understand anything, just ask me. When you have mastered this book, I will teach you other magic. Speaking of this, Aaron was afraid that Aaron would misunderstand, and patiently explained, "Don't underestimate enchantment magic, this is the foundation of Asgard. Every aspect of life is related to enchantment." Quote, "Whether it is a warrior's weapons, armor, or a spaceship or defensive cannon, it is inseparable from enchantment. Do you know Mjolnir of Grand Prince Saul? It is an extremely powerful enchanted artifact, made by the excellent forging technology of the dwarves, using the Dead Star as the furnace, using Uru metal as the material, and finally through the unique enchantment magic of Odin, the king of the gods. Quote, has the power to control thunder. It is indestructible, it is indestructible. This is the charm of enchantment, Asgard's technology, all need enchantment to develop." Aaron nodded. He naturally did not underestimate the power of enchantment magic. There are still those two M16s called Destroy the Sky and Destroy the Earth in my mind. Two ordinary earth weapons, after being enchanted by Asgard, immediately transformed into harvesting machines, piercing Hela's black sword and harvesting the resurrected undead warriors. And as far as he knew, almost everything in Asgard was related to enchantments. It can be said that Asgard, who has mastered the perfect enchantment system, can have its current status. Taking the magic book, Aaron did not let go of the idea of continuing to press, and spoke again, "Teacher, how did you take out the magic book just now?" "A new magic." Quote. Aaron smiled, seeing that she couldn't dodge. She had to say, "This is a very practical magic. Space storage, can use magic to create a special space, usually can contain some small items, the biggest advantage is convenience, can free hands." Quote. "Since you want to learn, then I will teach you. Anyway, it is an ordinary auxiliary magic, but this magic is still difficult to learn." With that, Aaron began to talk about the specific principle of space storage magic. In her opinion, it is just a small auxiliary magic, and if it is taught, it will be taught. If you can maintain your dignity as a teacher with a mundane auxiliary magic and enchantment magic, it is totally worth it. She didn't want to be hollowed out on her first day of teaching. "I believe that such a thick enchanted magic book can delay a lot of time, right?" Aaron thought uncertainly. After a while, Aaron learned a third magic, space storage. In front of Aaron, he put the magic book in it and took it out, repeating it several times. Seeing Aaron, who was having fun, the corners of Aaron's mouth twitched slightly. In front of such a magical demon, what Alexander? Although space storage magic is only auxiliary magic, it also involves spatial power, and it is still difficult to learn. However, it seems that it did not cause the other party a trace of confusion at all. Ahem, today's teaching ends here. You all go back and have a good understanding of what you taught today. I hope that everyone can contribute to Asgard with magic in the future. Okay, let's all go back. After Erin finished speaking, she didn't stop for a moment and walked out quickly. Her direction is the Golden Palace. When it comes to Erin, she needs to report to the best witch, Frigga. And Frigga is also the honorary headmaster of the Academy of Magic. Wait until Erin is gone. Many apprentices gathered around and asked Erin for advice. However, Erin, sensing their purpose, preemptively left. Compared to these rouge powders, isn't magic fragrant? Isn't exercise fragrant? A strong sense of urgency prompted Erin to transform Goldfinger into strength as much as possible, and strength is the most important thing at the moment. With his strong strength and the genius identity he had just laid, others did not dare to stop it, and could only watch Erin leave. Everyone's eyes were full of envy. To be honest, it's false to say that you don't want to become a mage. The reason why they are constantly talking about becoming a warrior is not because it takes too much time to become a mage. Think about it, it only takes decades to become a warrior, but it takes hundreds of years and thousands of years for a mage, and you don't have to think about how to choose. If they could possess Erin's magical talents, it would only be a pride. After leaving the Magic Academy, Erin put aside his other arrangements and prepared to go straight back to his residence to practice magic. The joy of getting Goldfinger for the first time made him not want to waste a trace of time. Time is power. Others don't want to work hard because they are likely not to be rewarded for their efforts. But for Erin, every ounce of effort can see the rewards, and the harder you work, the stronger you are. In this case, it will be crazy to change anyone. However, as soon as Erin left the school gate, he was stopped. Hey, Erin, Loki is right, you really came to learn magic. A bold voice called Erin. The owner of the voice is none other than Saul, who has blonde hair. Erin's traverser consciousness has consciously begun to plan for the future since he awakened. Learning magic is one thing, and finding a way to deal with the souls is another. At least in Asgard, if you can get along with the group of Saul, then it will be much easier to do things. Don't look at Thor with a big grin, or even blindly confident in his own strength. He is a megalomaniac in the eyes of the Earthlings. But in Asgard, such a Saul is the object of everyone's worship. Because Thor is their future king, the strongest besides Odin, his conceit is a sign of self-confidence. Since you have come to the Marvel world and are a member of Asgard, it is absolutely right to deal with Thor. Erin did just that. With the help of a drinking party, he successfully broke into Soul's small group. The relationship between several people is not bad. Erin greeted Thor and the few people behind him, showing a very easygoing and friendly manner. Why are you here? Don't tell me that you came here specifically to wait for me. Quote. Behind Thor are Loki, the three warriors of the Immortal Palace, and the famous female warrior Sif. At this moment, several people except Loki looked at Erin with a kind smile. They have a pretty good impression of this good-talking and hard-working young man. Of course, you are our friend, and you will definitely wait for you to go together. Thor laughed and patted Erin on the shoulder, and in the next moment, he immediately showed his original form. Let's go for a drink. Let me say what you learn magic to do here. Loki is a magical genius, you can find him what you want to learn. Quote. Hearing this, Loki also smiled at the right time, but Erin was more reluctant to look at it. It's not that he didn't want to ask Loki for advice. Although Loki's reputation as the first mage of the 9 realms is quite watery, it is said that Loki's magic is very comprehensive. If Loki could really teach magic, Erin would not be willing to come to the academy to study. It's just that Loki is the god of intrigue and trickery, and he is really not afraid of being calculated when he learns magic. Even if you want to deal with Loki, you must have some strength. Without self-preservation, it is quite dangerous to be with a highly intelligent person like Loki. In addition, I don't know if it is because Loki's true bloodline is a frost giant, Erin subconsciously rejects Loki. These things cannot be said explicitly. Erin does not want to offend people, at least until he is in his infancy. He needs to maintain his previous state. There's no need to trouble Loki. I just suddenly want to learn magic, and I can't delay Loki's time because of my momentary hobby. It's not right to say so. We're friends, mutual help is supposed to be, how can it be a delay? You were right, Loki. Thor flashed Loki a cheeky smile. Loki smiled and nodded in agreement. However, his heart was quite unhappy with Thor's behavior of preparing to give his energy and time to gain Aaron's favor. If he hadn't known that his stupid brother, who only knew wine and muscles, was always below the horizontal level, he would have wondered if he had changed someone. Thor with a big heart couldn't see Loki's reluctance, mistakenly thinking that the other party approved of his statement, and laughed again. Look what I said, right, or you will learn from Loki in the future. Although Loki is worse in martial arts, but his magic tricks are still quite good. Quote, for magic, Thor describes it as a trick. In his eyes, a heroic warrior should defeat his opponent with dignity. The magic that always conjures illusions and deceives the enemy's senses is difficult to achieve. Of course, there is also the fact that Loki often uses magic to trick others. Including his brother, he did not escape Loki's magical play. My brother, do you think my magic is just a trick? Maybe I can turn you into a frog and let you try the trick you just talk about. Quote, Loki doesn't agree. He usually prides himself as the first mage of the 9 realms, how can he be described as a trick? Loki, that's why your magic is a trick, other people's magic is used against enemies, and you like to play with friends. Sif frowned. For Thor's point of view, whether it was Sif or the 3 warriors of the Immortal Palace, they all nodded in agreement. They are the elite of the elite, and they are usually very unhappy with Loki's behavior of always using magic to tease people. There is even a hint of magic with it. However, as friends, they would not object to Aaron learning magic. At least in terms of character, Aaron is much more reliable than Loki. Most importantly, Aaron became their friend in his own right. After all, if there are no means, just drinking alcohol, it is difficult to integrate into Soul's small group, and it is difficult to get the approval of the 3 warriors and Sif. The strong will only make friends with the strong. Even if the 3 warriors of Immortal Palace and Sif are too far behind Thor, they are much stronger than ordinary Asgardians. It's like Sif, the strongest female warrior of Asgard's new generation. Or Vandal, one of the 3 warriors, is a famous master of swordsmanship, specializing in bladed weapons, and even Thor often praises his swordsmanship. Even the fattest Vostag should not be underestimated. He had the strongest body when he was young, and after becoming obese because of eating and drinking, his defense ability was also the first among the 3 warriors. Well, you're right. Loki was accustomed to being isolated by everyone, and did not refute it, but turned to Aaron and said, Aaron, magic is a rather profound science. Without a certain talent, I advise you not to try it easily, it will only waste your time. Quote, after all, not everyone can become a good mage. Loki couldn't refute the 3 warriors' good soul, so he had to poke and target Aaron. At this time, other mage apprentices also flocked out. When I saw Aaron and Thor, I was stunned. No wonder Aaron's magical talent is so high. It turns out that he and Prince Thor are friends. With his talent, I am afraid that he will soon become a powerful mage and fight with Prince Thor. Don't envy, he is a magical genius that even teacher Aaron is jealous of, we can't compare. When a group of girls were talking, they all looked at Aaron with envious eyes. This scene fell in the ears of several people, and they all looked at Loki with meaningful eyes. Loki's face was very ugly, and he said embarrassed, the first day doesn't prove anything, it's just a group of apprentices, how can they know the difficulty of magic? Quote, however, Loki's quibbles were not approved by several people, but ignored by several people. They were well aware of Loki's instincts. They were more interested in what the apprentices were talking about than arguing with Loki. Especially Vandal, a self-proclaimed playboy, was a little out of tune when he saw young women, and at the moment he was even more exaggerated. I'm not mistaken, this class of mage apprentices are all girls. Honestly, Aaron, did you come for them? Quote, you're so bad friends, why didn't you call me when you came? In fact, I also like magic, they are amazing. So fascinating. Vandal's exaggerated words only got a crowd of white eyes. Aaron, who had long been accustomed to Vandal's personality, spread out his hands and said helplessly, if you really want to come, I can talk to the magic teacher, maybe you can also pass the test. Quote, forget it, with the romantic atmosphere I exude, I can arouse the affection of women anywhere. Vandal danced a sword flower and straightened his hair after collecting the sword, as if this would make him look more handsome. Aaron, I didn't see that you are still a magical genius. Sif looked at Aaron with glowing eyes. As a woman, her sixth sense is quite keen. At the beginning of this meeting, I felt that Aaron was a little different from usual. A little more confident than ever, full of vitality and vitality. Aaron did not have pride, hiding the magical talent displayed in the classroom, but only smiled humbly. Compared to Loki, I am much worse. Quote. None of them objected to Aaron's self-efficacious statement. Because Loki's magical talent is indeed very high. Thor grew up with Loki's magical tricks and was well aware of the younger brother's magical prowess. If Loki can use the kung fu of teasing others to specialize in magic, I believe he can even surpass the god King Odin. Loki is not magical. Okay, everyone don't stick here, drink and drink, compare who can drink the most today. The exchange did not last long, and in the greeting of Thor, he rushed to the drinking party. However, they did not expect that Aaron would use illusion magic while several people did not notice. The energy entity avatar created by LV3 Phantom Magic can already achieve the effect of false reality. It has the combat power of a part of the body. If you just drink, you can achieve exactly the same effect as the body. Aaron's vision was not noticed in the slightest. Including Loki, none of them sensed the clue. Loki will have a lot of magic, but at this time, his achievements in illusion magic have been surpassed by Aaron. If he could tell it carefully, he could tell it, but he subconsciously didn't think that Aaron would have such an amazing ability to cast spells on the first day. He is quite confident in his level of magic and talent. What you can't do yourself, others can't do. After Aaron cast an energy entity doppelganger to leave instead of himself and Thor and the others, he returned to his residence alone. Queen of Heaven, there is a genius from the Academy of Magic. No, there is a demon. Quote. After announcing the end of class, Aaron rushed to the Golden Palace without stopping. And Frigga is sitting in the study at the moment, leisurely looking at the magic book. Before Irene arrived, the voice that could not suppress excitement came from outside the door. This filled Frigga with curiosity. Aaron, this time is not school time, what are you talking about? In fact, Aaron is also quite gifted in magic. What can make Aaron called a demon has never appeared in the whole of Asgard. It's Aaron, an apprentice who has just begun to learn magic. Quote. After entering the study, Aaron suppressed her excitement, saluted Frigga, and then talked about what she had seen and heard today. According to normal teaching, I gave the apprentices the method of sensing magical energy today, and when the other apprentices were still trying, Aaron sensed magic in an instant, and it only took an hour, which is worth many days of magic accumulation by ordinary people. Not only that, but I also made an exception to teach him illusion magic, and he just listened to it once and also succeeded in mastering the tricks of illusion magic. And in a short time, he raised the magic of illusions to a very high level. I personally saw him create an energy entity doppelganger, and it is initially estimated that his attainment in illusion magic is not much worse than mine. And he also learned the magic of space storage in one go, and was able to freely collect objects. I've never seen someone with such a powerful magical talent. Aaron is absolutely a demon existence in magic. Is it really such an exaggeration? Frigga was shocked by Aaron's words. A beginner in magic who can master and barely use a magic in a week is already a proper genius. As Irene said, the entire history of Asgard's development has never appeared. If that's the case, it's not an exaggeration to say it's a demon. Aaron, the name is so familiar. Quote, Frigga had some impressions of the name. I remember Thor mentioned to me that some time ago he made a new friend, it seems to be called Aaron. Could it be that Aaron, whom Thor knows, is the same person as this Aaron? It seems that Thor has made a very good friend. Frigga was happy for Thor. With Aaron's magical talent, I believe that he will be able to tutor Thor well in the future to protect Asgard. However, Frigga still didn't believe that Aaron had such an exaggerated magical talent. Sounds amazing. Aaron continued at this time. Queen of Heaven, Aaron has such an exaggerated talent, I don't know how to teach him, I'm afraid that I alone will soon be learned by him all magic. Quote. So I suggest that you teach him magic yourself. Before Frigga became a queen, she was both a powerful female warrior of the Warner Protoss and a famous witch. After marrying Odin, Frigga taught only one person, and that was Loki. Loki will magic, so will Frigga. Frigga will, but Loki doesn't. Strictly speaking, Frigga's magical strength may be stronger than Loki at the moment. It's just that because of the long-term pampering, Frigga has no chance to make a move, and her combat effectiveness is gradually declining. But as a teacher of magic, Frigga is absolutely excellent. After a brief thought, Frigga said, "If Aaron is really as good as you say, then it is no longer suitable for him to continue to stay in your class, which will affect the learning of other apprentices, so I made an exception to enroll him in a higher magic class, and I allowed him to ask any teacher in the Academy for magic." When Aaron heard this, she was overjoyed. Aaron had no complaints about Frigga's decision. Frigga is a diva, and needs to assist Odin in managing Asgard, and it is indeed a bit inappropriate to just teach a mage. Although Frigga was not invited to teach herself, she was promised. She was really unable to teach Aaron alone. If you can gather all the magic teachers to teach together, it is no worse than Frigga herself. Understood, Queen of Heaven. Back at his residence, Aaron began to think about his next steps. Randomly conjuring a pen and a piece of paper, Aaron, who was preparing to plan further, suddenly noticed something. This time the proficiency increased, only 2 points added. Quote. Aaron watched the proficiency beat a little distractedly. In the next second, the illusion magic was directly cancelled, and paper and pen were transformed again. This time, it was still 2 points instead of 3. Strange, could it be? Thinking of a possibility, Aaron conjured an energy entity this time. Sure enough, maximizing proficiency isn't just a casual spell, it requires me to cast a spell with all my might. Quote. Aaron suddenly realized, paper and pen are just an illusory ordinary illusion, and the difficulty and level of magic cast are probably only LV2 levels, so only 2 proficiency points are added. The spell casting level and magic energy required by the energy entity avatar are the standardized LV3 level, so the proficiency is increased to 3. Trouble, if I want to increase the magic level faster, then I have to go all out every time I cast magic, which requires great magic energy reserves. So, the next step is to solve the problem of magical energy. Quote. Have enough rich magical energy to become stronger at the fastest speed. As for the solution, Aaron squeezed the transformed pen and literally wrote down Plan 1 lightly. Meditation. Level 4 Meditation. The speed of perception and absorption of magic is quite amazing. An hour is worth many days of hard work accumulated by ordinary mages. At this speed, Aaron believes, even Aaron, Frigga, or Loki, who has a frosty bloodline, is by no means faster than him. According to Asgardian magical research, meditation is not even magic. It relies more on bloodlines to obtain absorption bonuses. Loki just ate the bonus of the royal bloodline of the frost giant, so he can be more talented than ordinary people. However, although the speed of this magic accumulation is fast, Aaron is still not satisfied. Time is running out. He doesn't have so much time to follow the steps and take his time. It only takes a few more hours to upgrade the meditation technique, when the magic absorption will be faster. Aaron pondered for a moment, shook his head with slight dissatisfaction, and then wrote down the second plan on the paper. Energy source. If I can obtain an artifact with unlimited energy like the Infinity Stone, then this problem can be solved. But this plan needs to overcome 2 problems. 1. If nothing else, there are currently no Infinity Stones in Asgard. 2. Even if you get a gemstone, you can't use it casually and absorb energy. The risk factor is quite high, and if you don't pay attention to it, you may be eaten back by the gemstone. Asgard has acquired the Infinity Stone, and there are more than one. But Odin, for some purpose, may have realized that he could not collect 6 gems, or perhaps because he was guilty, and finally gave away the collected gems. So, it is very likely that Asgard does not have gemstones at the moment. Aaron was also worried that he did not have the ability to absorb gemstone energy. Although the Infinity Stones are dead things, they can never be measured by ordinary objects. In the front, the red skull was transferred by space magic, and the female alien was burst by energy. At present, except for Captain Marvel who luckily obtained some of the space gem energy, everyone else is almost indirectly using part of the gem energy. Even a certain spicy chicken silk can transform a real gem into an etheric particle state with technology and incorporate it into the body, but it does not actually absorb the gem energy. Realistic gems and their power. If the other party could really use and absorb its energy, how could it be overturned by Saul who had not yet awakened? Look at Captain Marvel, even awakening Thor may not be able to defeat it. So, for now, plans to get the Infinity Stones have been put on hold for the time being. If that's the case, then a backup plan is needed. Aaron wrote on paper the ice box and the eternal fire. The former possesses powerful energy to freeze a planet. The latter will never be extinguished, has the special power to resurrect the undead, and after combining with Surtle, it can restore its peak and destroy the entire Asgard with one sword. There is no doubt that both have huge amounts of energy measured in planets. If you can get and use it, you don't have to worry about energy in the early stage. The main thing is that both artifacts are in Asgard and have the possibility of obtaining them. Remember that these two artifacts are in Odin's treasury, usually within Odin's magical surveillance, and the Destroyer Armored Guard. If you want to get it first, you can either raise the magic to a level far beyond Odin, or you can make a monstrous battle achievement and give it in the form of a reward. Perhaps, the former is easier to achieve. Aaron's gaze flickered. He has always been wary of Odin. For now, Odin thinks that the benevolent king is not fake, but don't forget that before he unified the 9 realms, he was also a warlike king who was not inferior to Thanos. Countless killings. And it's quite scheming. Strength is also unfathomable. Aaron did not think that he could be rewarded with 2 artifacts for a great battle feat, and there was no precedent before that. Because both the ice box and the eternal flame are at stake. The former is the sacred relic of the Frost Giant, and the Frost clan has never given up the idea of taking it back, and once the ice box falls into the hands of the other party, it may trigger a war between the 2 races again. And the latter is even more related to Ragnarok, when Solo gets the eternal flame. With Odin's state at the moment, it can be said that he has a weak heart, and Asgard will die. As long as Odin wasn't old enough to faint, it was impossible to allow 2 artifacts to leave the treasury. Therefore, compared to the other party's initiative last time, Aaron is more inclined to take it himself. Of course, there is another way, which is to wait quietly for the Dark Elves to invade, fish in troubled waters, or wait for Loki to take power and Hela to move in, and then it will be easy to get 2 more artifacts. But Aaron can't wait. So, the most urgent thing is to improve the level of magic as soon as possible. As long as it can far surpass Odin, you can take away the artifact without knowing it. Maybe there's another way to boost your mana reserves. Aaron had another plan in mind. This plan will only be possible after tomorrow's magic class. As for the current time, that is the opening of the book. Aaron put aside all his thoughts for a while, followed the plan he had already thought of, and began to exercise various abilities. The first is martial arts, gunfighting, and swordsmanship, all 3 of which must be upgraded to LV4 first. Then there's meditation to restore the magic and rise to LV5. Then there's the magic of illusion and space storage. Raise various abilities to the highest level in the shortest time possible. And on the other side, a cocktail party not far from the Golden Palace. When Aaron fell into open book mode, Thor and his party were drinking happily together, unbeknownst to him. Playboy Vandal gathered several blondes around him. Vostag, on the other hand, is a wine glass in one hand and a chicken leg in the other, concentrating on dealing with food. Vostag, it's time for you to lose weight. You were the most fittest warrior in Asgard, now what? With a big belly, but it makes many ladies sad and cry. Quote. In the face of Vandal's quip, the latter replied without care, I am still the strongest except for Thor, do you want to try my strength? Quote. Brute force is the practice of barbarians, and as a qualified gentleman, you should have a gorgeous sword showdown, do you think I'm right, ladies? Vandal raised his glass and smiled at the ladies, who boasted the kindest smile. As expected, Vandal's female companions, visibly towards him, echoed one after another. Seeing this, Sif pouted and looked to the other side. I saw Aaron drinking quietly. Aaron, why don't you like to talk today? I'm still thinking about the magic taught by the teacher today. You know, the magic is quite profound. Aaron replied without thinking. Sif bowed her head slightly, not feeling surprised. During this time together, they both knew that Aaron was a warrior who loved to learn. Whether it is swordsmanship or gun art, there is a strong spirit of specialization. This is exactly what they appreciate the most. Because they also possess this spirit, they can stand out among so many fighters, not only become one of the best fighters, but also become Thor's friends and be able to fight side by side with Thor. This honor is not so easy to get. The effort and hardship involved in it is difficult for others to know. And Aaron's research spirit is even stronger than them, and I don't know why. The other party seems to be very urgent, eager to improve his strength. Nowadays, they have become the best among the fighters, not much worse than them. However, Sif always vaguely felt something strange. Probably as a woman's sixth sense, she always feels that today's Aaron is a little different. Not only is it different from usual, but it is also different from when we first met. Sif couldn't describe the feeling. Just as she was thinking, Loki suddenly stared at Aaron, and a light of disbelief appeared in his eyes. That's the gaze of doubting life. Rubbing his eyes silently, and looking over again, Loki was silent. Loki, what are you thinking again? Thor saw Loki looking at Aaron for a long time without moving, and subconsciously thought that the younger brother might be thinking of new tricks. As an older brother, he has the right, the responsibility and the obligation to supervise the other party. The corners of Loki's mouth twitched slightly, and he was silent for a long time before he spoke. My dear brother, I sincerely suggest that you take a look at Aaron before questioning me. Is he really Aaron? Quote, if I'm not mistaken, Aaron, who drank with us for a few hours, is nothing more than a physical illusion created using illusion magic. We played with a ball of energy for hours. What? Hearing what Loki said, several people were all stunned. Thor frowned. Loki, you should know that Aaron has only learned magic on the first day. How could he have learned illusion magic so quickly, and can also create magic that deceives my perception, and even fooled you? Quote. When Loki said it, Thor immediately recognized the truth from the fake. Loki is too naughty and has used all kinds of magic to play with him since he was a child. Transfiguration, illusions, stealth, and other magical means emerge one after another. If Loki is a good archmage, then Thor is a discerning master who can easily see through many illusions. But at the moment, Thor didn't see a flaw at all. Aaron is Aaron, except for the lack of words, whether it is breath or senses, there is no difference. Sif also nodded in agreement. Yes, he not only lied to you, but also me. Loki's face is ugly. Under the bright light, there seems to be a shadow. Thor's words were like a sharp sword, piercing his heart deeply. I think he is still a famous mage in Asgard, and he usually uses magic to trick others, but he doesn't want to. Today he was actually taught a lesson by a rookie who is new to magic. A few hours had passed since the Academy of Magic, and he had only discovered a clue under Sif's frequent attention. Loki could determine that this Aaron was not Aaron. It seems to be true, but in fact it is an energy entity that is infallible. It can be seen that the other party has left himself behind in terms of illusion magic attainments. Outrageous. Quite outrageous. Don't say that Thor doesn't believe it, even he can't believe it. But, that's true. Aaron deceived the stupid Thor and fooled himself stupidly. Worthy of being a magical genius, it was discovered by you so quickly. Aaron, who was watched by everyone, shrugged helplessly and said, well, as you can see, I am a physical illusion doppelganger, a real little joke I played on you. I want to try the magic that I learned, I hope you don't mind. Quote. If you want to come to me, go to my house, and now he is probably practicing magic. Here, I also apologize to you, I have no intention of deceiving you. After speaking, Aaron turned into pure energy and dissipated in everyone's field of vision. Quote, quote. There was another silence. For a while, everyone didn't know what to say. They weren't angry. Aaron was different from Loki, who apologized as soon as he was discovered, and they could understand the joy of just learning magic. As friends, they were also genuinely happy for Aaron's magical talent. You know, the other party has only learned for less than a day. You can use illusion magic to deceive everyone present. Can Loki do it? Invariably, the pressure was all on Loki. Loki was in an even worse mood. Magical genius. He always felt like he was being ridiculed by Aaron. Chapter 11. When the doppelganger dissipated, Aaron, who was entering a meditative state, opened his eyes for the first time, and a trace of disappointment flashed in his eyes. Was it discovered so soon? The level of illusion magic is still a lot worse. Quote, if you can create a real entity, others will not be able to distinguish the real from the fake, even if they doubt, they are only doubtful. Well, then hurry up and improve the illusion magic, just as the meditation technique is about to upgrade. Aaron continued into meditation. I don't know how long it took, but finally ushered in a crucial moment. You have seriously run a meditation technique, you have achieved a lot, the magic energy reserve has increased, the proficiency of meditation is +4, your meditation technique has been upgraded to energy absorption. Well, meditation becomes energy absorption. When the prompt appeared, Aaron immediately looked over to see the change. Soon, he looked overjoyed. Meditation is a technique developed by Asgardian mages to sense and absorb magical energy in the air. Not only is the absorption efficiency low, but also very limited, and it can only accumulate magic reserves little by little through a long period of time accumulation. Energy absorption, on the other hand, is an upgraded version of meditation that can actively absorb masterless energy. Not only is the efficiency of absorbing magic much higher than that of traditional meditation and LV4 meditation, but it can also actively absorb other energy and convert it into its own reserves, no longer limited to Asgard's unique magical energy. On the basis of meditation, efficiency and extensiveness have been increased, and the speed of magical energy accumulation will be greatly improved. In addition, the upgrade of meditation also solved another problem for Aaron. That is how to absorb external energy sources. As long as you can get the icebox and the eternal fire, you can absorb it through energy and continuously transform it into your own strength. At that time, it will be the real beginning of the improvement of strength. The main thing is that the meditation technique LV5 has undergone a qualitative leap, so how exaggerated will it become if it continues to be enhanced? Aaron was very hungry for the energy absorption of Scarlet Witch's hand. The later Scarlet Witch, using chaos magic, can even absorb all the energy of Captain Marvel of a parallel universe in a few breaths. That level of energy absorption is not comparable to your own energy absorption energy at this moment. One can absorb the main energy, the other can only absorb the ownerless energy, and the gap is completely 1-by-1. Still, Aaron is confident he can do the same, if not stronger. You know, it took him less than a day to learn meditation to get to this point, and then what? And how strong will it become? Unlimited improvements, unlimited possibilities. Aaron gathered his mind and glanced at the template at the moment. Name, Aaron. Lifespan, 1,005 Talent, heavenly reward for hard work. Skills, energy absorption, Asgardian meditation, LV5, 0 fighting LV4, 2/10,000, sword art LV4, 2/10,000, illusion magic LV3, 99 1,000, space storage LV2, 10/100. Attributes, intelligence 3, strength 4, speed 3, endurance 4, energy intensity 3, fighting skill 5. Strength evaluation, surface level, second-rate superhero. Although the skills have basically improved by a wave, the strength evaluation has not changed much. Except for the stronger fighting skills, all other attributes, including energy intensity, have not changed. Aaron was not depressed about this phenomenon. Before obtaining the Heavenly Tao reward talent, his energy intensity and fighting skills were only 1 and 2 respectively. Although it is still at the surface level and is at the level of a second-rate superhero, the gap before and after is also quite obvious. It can be said unceremoniously that Aaron at this moment can completely abuse himself before learning magic. This is the improvement of comprehensive attributes, plus magic cooperation, there is no suspense at all. Unless the wisdom is reduced or the plot requires it. Moreover, don't look at the surface level, the gap between the surface level and the bottom is too big. Explosive buildings are the surface, explosive streets are the surface, and explosive cities are also surfaces. But can it be said that it is a grade? If you pull the Women's Federation in, they are all of the same grade, which is nothing more than the difference between first class, second rate or third rate. Aaron is ready for a long time at the surface level. He also believes that this is only temporary. If you want to upgrade energy absorption, you need to meditate for more than a day without eating or drinking. And Asgard's pervasive magical energy has begun to be unable to meet such efficient magic absorption. Meditation efficiency can be greatly affected. The search for a new energy source is imminent. During the meditation process, Aaron had discovered that the magical energy that permeated the air of Asgard could only barely supply the absorption rate of LV4. If you continue to improve, just absorbing external energy, it is already unsustainable. If you want to improve without being affected, you can only find a way to find a more effective way. It's better to improve the illusion magic and space storage first. As for finding a way to crack it, I can only go to the Magic Academy tomorrow. With that, Aaron plunged into the learning process again. Next, after rolling up until the wee hours of the morning, Aaron got up early in the morning and rushed to the Magic Academy. At this time, the other trainees had not yet arrived. Because of the long lifespan of the Asa God clan, the work and rest of the God race people are very different from those of the Earthlings. If on Earth, students come to the classroom early and start reading early. And in Asgard, it's a great time to sleep. In fact, very little time in the day is actually devoted to learning. What they need to do, in addition to the necessary exercise, is more to enjoy life. This is the Protoss, almost into the era of utopia. Coupled with the presence of Odin, the relative peace of the 9 realms is maintained, and other civilizations in the galaxy are also deterred, so that Asgard does not have to worry about external invasion for a long time. If it weren't for the subsequent plot development, Aaron might have begun to enjoy this harmonious and comfortable Protoss life long ago. However, these can only be thought about. He is in a race to death at the moment. Seeing that there was no one, Aaron still did not stop the pace of the roll. Opening the thick enchantment magic book, his mind sank into it in an instant. Time passes. An unfamiliar voice awakens Aaron from the wizarding world. Aaron, teacher Aaron asked you to go to her. Teacher, what are you looking for me for? Led by an unknown mage, Aaron finds Aaron in a room. Aaron was in a very good mood when she saw Aaron's arrival. Just as he was about to speak, he subconsciously sensed Aaron's magic fluctuations, and his expression suddenly froze. You're getting stronger again. The harvest is not bad, but compared with the teacher, it is much worse. Aaron said modestly. Aaron was silent. Too much worse. It's only been less than a day. It's not far behind me in illusion magic. If I am directly surpassed by you, then my face is gone. Of course, Aaron also knew that it was only a matter of time before the other party surpassed herself. Maybe tomorrow, maybe the day after tomorrow, the other side will be able to overtake in some way. It won't be long before he will be completely trampled underfoot. She took a deep breath and asked tentatively, the magic book you gave you yesterday, how are you studying? Quote. Aaron frowned. There is too much enchantment knowledge in the magic book, and I am still in the exploration stage. Quote. Phew, that's good. Hearing this answer, Aaron secretly breathed a sigh of relief and praised her own wit yesterday. After seeing Aaron's magical talent, in order to save her face, Aaron had to play a trick. Aren't you highly gifted at magic? Then I don't teach it directly. Let you slowly flip through the entire magic book, just read it in its entirety, it will take a lot of time. Coupled with the time spent studying, you can always delay for a while. Well, maybe. Although she used a method, Aaron did not intend to harm Aaron. As a mage, in fact, more magic learning, or depends on yourself. What others teach, after all, is a small part. More knowledge is located in the magic book in the library. If you want to become a good archmage, you must not be able to bypass the library. There, more time is spent. And on the other hand, if you learn enchantment magic, it will have a very high benefit to improve your casting level. Not only can you craft powerful artifacts, but it can also help improve your spell casting proficiency. It was also impossible for Aaron to hold a thick magic book and impart knowledge page by page. Neither she, nor Aaron, had that much time. Ahem, don't be discouraged, the enchantment magic is vast and profound. If you want to fully master it, the time required is definitely measured in years. Even I, so far, I dare not say that I have mastered all the enchantment magic. The true enchanted master of Asgard is our king, Odin. His attainment in enchantment is admirable. But even it took him countless years to have such a high level of enchantment. You still have a long time, maybe one day you can become the strongest mage. Aaron patiently enlightened Aaron, lest the other party develop self-doubt because of this setback. But she obviously thought too much. Aaron's main energy was not enchantment. Otherwise, how could it be put at the end and start studying slowly? By the way, After you went back last night, you didn't continue to practice other magic, did you? Aaron suddenly thought of something at this time and asked softly. Yes, Aaron nodded and replied in the affirmative. At the same time, he snapped his fingers. The office where the two were located suddenly turned into a familiar goby. The view is hazy and the wind is cold. In the distance, there are even silhouettes floating. It's not really true. I'm Hades. Aaron was taken aback, and in excitement, her body stood up sharply. This vision, this scene. Isn't it the illusion of Hades that she gave to the apprentices on the first day? The authenticity of this illusion alone is no worse than what she created. And it's more realistic. If she hadn't watched Aaron perform it in person, even she would have been unable to distinguish between reality and reality. After perceiving it carefully, Aaron Liu was born loveless. In less than a day, I was surpassed by the students. Odin is on top. Are you kidding me? The illusion of Hades did not last long, and the whole illusion turned into a bubble and dissipated. And Aaron's face was a little pale. This is a sequel of severe mana consumption. Before coming, in order to improve the illusion and space storage, the mana had been consumed almost as much. Now maintaining the illusion of Hades for a short time is already the limit. Teacher, after I practiced for a long time last night, I had a question. Where does the magical energy that spreads throughout Asgard come from? Yes, where does Asgard's magical energy come from? This was Aaron's biggest question. It is also a key to solving the problem of energy reserve improvement. Since he is a beginner in magic, everything about Asgardian magic remains in the stage of speculation. Aaron had thought that this magical energy was a special kind of cosmic energy. But if so, why did the mages of Karmatage not try to absorb this magical energy, but insisted on obtaining magic power by signing contracts with the ancient gods knowing that there was a huge price? Simply absorb it more slowly yourself, and it is easier to become stronger by borrowing magic. If not, does Asgard's magical energy come from the planet itself? Remember that the sword that Solal destroyed Asgard seemed to trigger the energy of the star core. And the famous Star Destroyer cannon Rainbow Bridge, its energy source is also Asgard itself. Of course, there are other possibilities. That's the World Tree. Aaron had a bold guess. That is, the World Tree is not a special star structure, but a real source of energy for Asgard. If that's the case, then try to find a larger source of energy. Because the bridge between the World Tree and Asgard is definitely not just Asgard itself. Otherwise, why did Hela's divine power weaken but not completely disappear when Asgard was destroyed, while Thor still had complete divine power? Just a simple protagonist aura. Or faith. Until he found a real answer, Aaron remained skeptical. If this medium exists, it may be able to solve the most pressing problems of the moment. Aaron obviously didn't expect Aaron to ask this question. The dazed look has already indicated everything. Seeing this, Aaron sighed silently. Sure enough, Aaron was only a dragon-set mage after all, and expecting her to obtain deep secrets was obviously taken for granted. Perhaps, only Odin knows, right? No, maybe there's one more person, and that's Frigga. As a diva, she is also a powerful mage, and Frigga can access a wider range of knowledge. After a brief loss of concentration, Aaron glanced at Eren suspiciously, and then said her knowledge of the source of the magic. Isn't magical energy a special cosmic energy? And we, under the guidance of the God King, can use this energy for science and technology, ourselves, which greatly strengthens the overall strength. Understood, teacher. Aaron nodded, indicating understanding. As for what he really thought in his heart, he did not say it to Aaron. Maybe she was right, it's just the source of energy for the Protoss royal family. How to explain it? Why can only the creatures of the 9 realms use this power? Everything is a problem. Aaron's understanding of the world, on the other hand, is still based on the analysis of what he has seen so far. He didn't even dare to pack a ticket. This world is just the MCU universe. Therefore, this problem needs to be further discovered. The two did not dwell on this issue for long. Aaron finally got down to business. Aaron, in view of your exceptional magical talent, yesterday I applied for special permission from the Queen of Heaven Frigga for you, and you no longer need to study with other apprentices in the future. You have the right to ask any teacher in the Magic Academy about magic. You can also enter the library at any time and look up materials. Actually, I'm more inclined to let the Queen of Heaven teach you personally, but the Queen of Heaven still needs to continue to observe your talent, so go for it. As long as you can show more magical talent, you will be guided by the Queen of Heaven, and even have the opportunity to attract the attention of the God King and receive the blessing of the King of the Gods. I believe that with your talent, you are likely to become the greatest mage in the future. There is still one word in Erin's heart that has not been spoken, that is, Erin has hope to become the new god of magic. The other party's ability to learn magic is beyond her understanding. I believe that even Odin is by no means inferior to the other party. Erin is destined to shine in magic. Looking at Erin's expectant eyes, Erin nodded emphatically. I see, teacher, although the time when the two really knew each other was 2 days at most. But Erin could be sure that Erin was genuinely thinking about herself. After seeing his magical talent, he reported to Frigga on the same day, seeking more resources for himself, and even wanted to ask Frigga to teach himself. It has to be said that Erin is very anxious, eager to train Erin to become an excellent mage, and even worried that she will not be able to fulfill the duties of a teacher. If you change to another person, there are enchanted students under him, and the jealousy is a little stronger, there may be a result of suppression. Even if not, it is possible to tightly trap the other person and yourself. Think about it, if Erin becomes a powerful and excellent mage in the future, then that person will naturally become Erin's nominal only mentor. Outstanding status, shared honor. At this time, Erin, who received a satisfactory answer, continued, you can temporarily let go of the study of enchanted magic, and the priority is to strengthen the learning of other magic. Quote, after you have almost mastered the main magic, it will not be too late to specialize in enchanted magic. In fact, only mages who realize that it is difficult to continue to improve magic will specialize in enchanted magic, and I don't want you to invest too much time in it. Of course, I also know that with your talent, you spend more time not practicing magic, but reading, but in any case, you will always waste a lot of time. Now that you have the opportunity to ask other teachers, take the opportunity. If you can get the approval of the Queen of Heaven, you will get better magical teaching. To this, Erin just nodded and did not say it bluntly. Although in his plan, enchanted magic came last. But that doesn't mean you don't value enchantment. Erin also thought that if the enchanted magic was raised to an extremely high level, then the enchanted artifact would become powerful. Build Mjolnir in bulk. Build storm tomahawks in bulk. It's not impossible. Also, it's a good idea to have a highly defensive piece of equipment before you reach a certain level. At this moment, he is not strong in physical strike resistance. It probably barely blocks a bullet with little power. After all, his physique is just an ordinary Asgardian. He has just reached adulthood, and his body has not yet grown to its peak. And Thor is royal bloodline, at the peak of his prime, and Loki is also the royal bloodline of the frost giant. Erin could not compare the two. Therefore, it is very important to have a set of extremely defensive nail stomachs at this time. At that time, coupled with his own enchantment, he may be able to withstand the weapon damage of ordinary Asgardian soldiers. You know, even the equipment of these soldiers is made of ulu metal. That's an artifact that can break defenses against Thor, Loki, Hela, and even Odin. If it can withstand this level of equipment, even Thor and the others cannot not covet. Next, the two talked for a while. In order to continue the role, Erin left the room. Not long after he left, a charming woman in a long green dress walked into the room. Amora, what are you doing here with me? Seeing the person coming, Erin's face suddenly sank. Erin, don't forget one thing, I'm also a teacher at the Academy of Magic. For Erin's unwelcoming look and tone, Amora was not angry, but said with interest, that person just now is the magical genius that the Queen of Heaven ordered us to pay special attention to. Quote, I remember it was called, Erin. A magic apprentice who had only been learning magic for less than 2 days. Quote, I heard that on the first day of admission, you can create an energy entity illusion avatar. Does he really have such a powerful magical talent? Amora did not hide her curiosity about Erin in the slightest. Amora, I warn you, you'd better not hit his attention. He is my student. It is also the object of attention of the Queen of Heaven. If you dare to do some small actions, don't blame me for being unkind. Quote, Erin has a particularly short temper and is completely devoid of the kindness she had with Erin. Aaron, why are you still so prejudiced against me? I didn't do anything to you. Amora said with a chuckle, completely ignoring the admonition in Aaron's tone. And didn't the Queen of Heaven say that? He can ask any mage for advice, and strictly speaking, he is not yours alone, but our common student. Quote. Speaking of this, Amora also licked the corners of her mouth enchantingly. HMPH, don't think I don't know, that incident is definitely related to you. Aaron looked at the other party with disgust, and said in a cold tone, don't think that you escaped the sanctions last time and you will be safe. I will keep an eye on you, and I will definitely not let you do something that dishonors the reputation of the mage again. Quote. Amora, known as the seductive witch, is the best at seductive magic, and is absolutely excellent in magic related to the mind. She is also a psychic magic teacher in the Academy of Magic. She also has a younger sister Lorelei, known as the seductive banshee, who is also a master of psychic magic. Lorelei once tried to stage a coup d'état, but was imprisoned in a dungeon after a failed attempt. Amora, on the other hand, avoided the coup and later became an academy teacher with his excellent psychic magic. That incident had a bad impact on the mage's reputation. Aaron hated such mages so much. If it weren't for them, why would the mage's status in Asgard be so embarrassing now? She had always suspected that Amora had also been involved in the incident. In addition, the initiator is Amora's sister, and even has a high dislike for him. After seeing that the other party obviously had a strong interest in Aaron, he couldn't hide his anger. Then you have wronged me. I am different from Lorelei. The great king of the gods thinks I am innocent. Amora blinked, looking very innocent. Aaron clenched her fists and did not refute again. After all, she was refuting. Didn't it mean that Odin didn't know what happened? Before the eruption of Mount Irene, Amora left the room with a chuckle. She had already received an accurate answer. After Amora left, Aaron finally suppressed her anger. The thought that the famous seductive witch might make Aaron a contact target, the whole person fell into irritation. Aaron is just a novice in magic. Even if the magic talent is high, even in just one day can match or even surpass himself in illusion magic. But in the end, there is too little time to study, and the age is too young. In the face of the master of psychic enchantment Amora, there is almost no possibility of resistance. Of course, this is not strong. Even if Amora is bold, he does not dare to make a random attack on a magical genius in Asgard. Her fear was that Amora would use her seductive power to seduce Aaron. Use the latter's magical talent to do something irreparable. Aaron was too young to have contact with psychic powers, and happened to be a young lad, in front of the mature and charming Amora. No way. Can't let it go. Not to mention a young man, with Amora's seductive magic attainments, among the men in the entire Asgard, I am afraid that there are no more than one hand of people who can really resist. Thinking of this, Aaron couldn't sit still at all, and quickly ran to find Aaron. At this moment, Aaron did not meet with Amora, but was blocked in the academy by several people. Sif asked feigned anger. Aaron, I think you should explain to us that you used illusions to tease us last night. We actually drank and talked for hours with a ball of energy. Thor also nodded in agreement. Yes, 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 don't treat us as friends too much. Quote. Loki, on the other hand, looked at Aaron with a scrutinizing gaze. He still couldn't believe that such a beginner could surpass himself in illusion magic on the first day of learning magic. He didn't mind teasing Thor, but he lied along with him. Doesn't it mean that he is as stupid as Thor? Can this be tolerated? When had he been so abused? Although Sif and the others made a look of questioning, Aaron knew that these were all pretending. However, it is time to apologize. After all, they are also friends, and it is true that he lied to a few people first. Well, I'll invite you to drink when I have time, and yesterday's incident is indeed embarrassing for me. As soon as he heard that he was going to drink, Thor couldn't help but smile. However, Sif glared at him fiercely, and immediately swallowed Thor's words that were about to reach his throat. But he still squeezed his eyebrows at Aaron, signaling not to forget the treat, and at the same time saying that he could not do anything at the moment. Sif gave Vandal another look. Vandal nodded and spoke. Aaron, I heard that you have been practicing magic since you went back, so you should not have left the basic training of warriors behind. Quote. We have no objection to you learning magic, but as a good Asgardian warrior, daily training must not be forgotten. Why don't you let me verify your swordsmanship, or see how well your training has been performed recently? After hearing this, Thor was obviously stunned for a moment, and then whispered, "It seems that this is not the case for our discussion. Vandal's swordsmanship is the most powerful among us, Aaron." Sif didn't speak. Vandal gave Thor a helpless smile. This matter, they came up with it on an improvised basis, and they did not tell Thor. They were afraid that Thor would turn around and forget about the plan for a few drinks. It turns out that just now Thor was a little closer, and he betrayed a few people. If it weren't for Sif moving quickly, several people were on their way to the drinking party at this time. This temporary plan is not actually to punish Aaron. They just wanted to take this opportunity to tell Aaron that as a warrior, you can't forget training. After all, Aaron's magical talent is too strong, and he can deceive several people in a day, and even Loki has been deceived. In the unlikely event that Aaron concentrates on learning magic and no longer focuses on warrior training, they will lose a warrior companion who fights side by side. In the end, the three warriors and Sif still subconsciously believe that the warrior is the right way, much stronger than the mage. Hearing this, Aaron raised his eyebrows and revealed a meaningful smile. In fact, after the swordsmanship was upgraded, he wanted to find time to practice with Vandal and see how strong the LV4 level swordsmanship was. It is also good to compare the magic level of the same level horizontally. At this moment, Vandal proposed it first, which was exactly what he wanted. "Okay, then let's try." Aaron stretched out his hand and summoned a long sword out of thin air, and with his attainment of space storage magic, he could already easily store long and short weapons. Usually, weapons and commonly used things are put into the space, and they can be taken out at any time against the enemy. The loss of magic is also very weak. It has to be said that space storage magic is quite useful. Seeing this scene, Loki's pupils shrank. Another new magic. Aaron, how much magic did he learn in a day? Despite not communicating with Aaron about magic, Loki already felt a sense of urgency in his heart. If he doesn't do something again, the name of the most talented mage of this generation will change hands. Even, the attainment in magic will be surpassed by Aaron in all aspects. For the first time, Loki wondered why he hadn't hurried to learn magic before. So much so that now I am panicked about the rise of Aaron, and I have been severely satirized. And not far away, Amora, who came out of Aaron and was about to discuss magic with Aaron, also saw this scene. Originally, after seeing Aaron, his eyes shone brightly. But seeing the Sol people, the pace of progress suddenly stopped. Thor, Loki, Sif. Quote, headache guy. Although Amora is a master of psychic magic, she is not sure if she can seduce Thor. Although Thor did not study magic, he wielded the power of thunder and was extremely resistant to magic. And there is also Loki, the mage, although in the eyes of Amora, although Loki will have a lot of magic, but it is relatively shallow, there is nothing to worry about. However, no matter how he said it, he also studied under Frigga. She wasn't sure she could seduce the other party. In addition to these two, the most troublesome is Sif, who is relatively weakest. Because she is a woman. And also the most powerful female warrior of this generation. Amora was sure that Sif was definitely not Lily. Her methods are completely useless to Sif. Wait, you won't escape the palm of my hand. Quote, seeing this, Amora had to observe secretly and did not come forward. In case it arouses the vigilance of the other party, it is not good. While Amora was thinking, Aaron and Vandal had already exchanged hands. This sword showdown, from the very beginning, has already decided the victory or defeat. That's Vandal wins. At least that's what Sif thinks. Vandal, a famous master of swordsmanship in Asgard, if he took out the sword art alone, few people would be able to perform a few moves in his hands. Coupled with his age advantage, his physical fitness is also stronger than Aaron's. Logically, there is no suspense in this battle. However, not long after the fighting began, the idea was overturned. Aaron showed no less than Vandal's swordsmanship. The gorgeous swordsmanship made several people marvel one after another. It even gave several people a strange thought, is he really Aaron? Quote, Thor and the others looked at each other, not expecting that the battle situation would actually develop in another direction. Did Vandal keep his hand? Thor shouted loudly. Vandal, did you go to a private meeting with any girl last night, or did you get drunk with that little wine? Quote. Vosterger did not skimp on his mockery, and took revenge for Vandal's joke before. Vandal, you should also practice well, you were the most superb swordsmanship master in Asgard, now what? With the most dazzling master name, but was defeated by a magic apprentice with swordsmanship, say it, the girls will empathize and fall in love. Quote. Quote, quote. Vostag, you can do it. Don't talk about the win there. Quote. Vandal, who was in the center, replied angrily, but in this instant, Aaron's sword almost broke through his defenses. Vandal said a good word, and looked at Aaron, who was focused on the battle, and felt very puzzled in his heart. When did Aaron's swordsmanship become so exaggerated? Is it really that I have been wandering the bush for a long time and slack? Remember how long has it been since the last showdown? It seems like just a month or two. He clearly remembered that sword duel, and he easily won the victory. Aaron is indeed very diligent and very researched, but there are some things that are not just hard work. In swordsmanship, effort is important, talent is even more important. However, now, with all his strength, he could not defeat the opponent with simple swordsmanship. On the contrary, he was in danger, and he almost lost several times. It is also fortunate that although Aaron is superb in swordsmanship, he seems to lack some actual combat and is slightly weaker in strength. Otherwise, the name of the sword master really changed owners. Between the electric light and flint, the two exchanged several moves. Vandal only felt that Aaron's offensive was becoming more and more fierce. The level of swordsmanship increases at a speed visible to the naked eye. As his opponent, Vandal felt it most clearly. He's going to lose. Stop. Just as the duel was in full swing, Aaron hurried from afar. Seeing this, Aaron stopped attacking further and recovered from the joy of the crazy increase in proficiency. Vandal couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. The savior is coming. A little later, the battle will be over. Prince Thor, I have something to find Aaron. Aaron greeted several people, and then left with Aaron, who was still unfinished. In this sword duel, Aaron discovered one thing, that is, the higher the skill level, the stronger it can indeed increase, but there is still room for this increase in strength. It's like an ordinary person and a soldier king, both shooting with guns of the same level. It is clear that they are all pulling the trigger, but the former will be completely abused by the latter. The skill level is high, and you must spend time on actual combat, otherwise you will not be able to fully exert your combat power. Moreover, in actual combat, the improvement of swordsmanship proficiency is faster. It's a pity, the improvement in actual combat may not be able to act on magic. Aaron sighed. After Aaron was taken away by Aaron, Thor and several people quickly surrounded him, their eyes full of suspicion. They still suspected that Vandal had left his hand. Will Vandal lose to a recruit in swordsmanship? That's an absolute joke. It's like Thor, the god of thunder, will be subdued by others with lightning, is it possible? Absolutely impossible. Thor is still quite confident in this, he is Thor. Vandal did not dance the sword flower again this time, and after Lisuo collected the sword, he said in a complicated tone, "Don't look, I've done my best. Aaron's swordsmanship has surpassed me, and if the duel continues, the loser must be me." Quote. In fact, if it weren't for my strength being a little greater than his, probably, alas. Quote. I'll go back first, I'll calm down and go for a drink together next time. From his eyes, several people could see that this sword master had been hit hard. For a while, the atmosphere instantly fell silent. And Loki on the side, while feeling gloating about what happened to Vandal, also felt a trace of sympathy. Both were hit by the same person in their areas of what they do best. The difference is that Vandal loses completely, and he has other magic. Yes, I can do more magic than Aaron, even if the illusion magic is surpassed, he can't compare to me. My magic alone is not comparable to him. I still have a chance. I haven't lost yet. The first mage of the 9 realms, it can only be me. Loki regained his confidence again. At this moment, there seemed to be light in his eyes. Vandal is gone, what should we do? Hogun, who had always been relatively silent, broke the silence. Drinking, Thor tentatively said. When he spoke, he felt that the atmosphere was not right. Thor touched his hair and smiled awkwardly. I remember that I still have something, you guys talk first, I'll go back. Quote. Vandal and Saul left, and the others did not linger. Seeing this, Loki rolled his eyes and turned around and walked towards the Golden Palace. He suddenly felt that he needed to ask Frigga for advice. He is a great mage who loves to learn. Aaron, who was pulled away by Irene, thought something big. Unexpectedly, Aaron just handed herself a magic book, focusing on making her watch out for a woman named Amora, and left. Amora, such a familiar name. Is it her? Aaron thought about it, and some information about the seductive witch Amora appeared in his memory. The name of the seductive witch is not small. Amora, as a master of psychic magic, is not respected by Aaron, she is more fearful. Both men and women, as long as they know Amora's nickname, it is impossible not to be afraid. Men are afraid of Amora controlling themselves, while women are men who are afraid of Amora seducing themselves. At the thought of Aaron saying beware of Amora, the seductive witch has her eyes on me, Aaron felt a toothache. He had only come into contact with magic, and he had learned very little magic, and there was no magic that resisted psychic magic. In front of Amora, I am afraid that I will not be able to survive around. Meat to kill, but he wasn't worried about what Amora would really do to him. Otherwise, Aaron wouldn't just have to explain. And this is Asgard, Odin is still alive, and Amora does not dare to make a second time. But fortunately, the magic book given by Aaron just solved his urgent needs. About the magic of resisting the temptation of the mind. It seems that we must put down other plans first and learn this magic first. After flipping through the magic book, I found the magic that was most needed at the moment, the mind barrier magic. After cultivation, a spiritual barrier can be established in the brain, able to resist demagogic control on a psychic level. This magic is very difficult to practice, but it is more effective, because this magic can neither be used to attack nor to resist real damage. For psychic level attacks, the effect is not strong. And the entire Asgard, who specializes in psychic enchantment level magic, is pitiful. Men do not need to seduce the enemy, they prefer to harvest with spears and tomahawks. And women, too, have a warrior's heart, and they disdain to use seduction to achieve their goals. Among this small group of psychic charm mages, the most famous of them are the Enchantment sisters. One is imprisoned in a dungeon, while the other is supervised by other female mages in the Academy of Magic. Coupled with the fact that the mages in Asgard are basically women, this results in very few people learning this magic. If he hadn't dealt with Amora so soon, Aaron would have preferred to spend this time on improving energy absorption. Aaron casually found a place to sit on the floor and entered the learning stage. You seriously cast the mind barrier magic once, and you have gained a slight amount, and the mind barrier magic proficiency is +1. Are you serious? Soon, the mind barrier magic was upgraded to LV2. But here comes the problem again. Because of the use of magic many times, the magic energy has long been exhausted. There is no longer the strength left to continue to improve the mind barrier magic. It's just a level 2 psychic barrier. Whether it can resist the famous seductive witch, Aaron's heart is very bottomless. According to Aaron and Vandal, people who can become masters in a certain field can at least master the level of level 3 peak or even level 4 in this field. Since Amora can be called a master of mind magic, it is impossible for it to be effective if it is only a level 2 spiritual barrier. However, at this moment, Aaron, who had the level of illusion magic master, found that the surroundings had long been surrounded by illusions. The person who can achieve this level of illusion is most likely Aaron. Obviously, Aaron also expected that Aaron would need time to regain his magic and learn psychic magic, so he built a barrier before leaving. Prevent Amora from coming to the door early. Seeing this scene, Aaron completely put down his heart and began to recover his magic. Outside the illusion, Amora followed the trail of Aaron and followed cautiously. But followed, and the person disappeared. What about people? I have obviously been following it well, how can I lose it? Amora, who was puzzled, soon thought of illusion magic. Aaron, I didn't expect you to do this to get Aaron to avoid me. Quote. But how long can you hide from me? Isn't it just an illusion magic? Do you really think that if you are a master of illusions, no one will be able to break your illusions? Quote. Amora smiled coldly, and a look of disbelief appeared on her beautiful face. It is true that she is a master of psychic magic, but at the same time, her attainment in illusion magic is not much worse. It's just that outsiders are more afraid of her seduction and ignore Amora's other magic. As a result, Eren stepped up his magic ascension in the illusion, while Amora tried to crack the magic outside the illusion. More than an hour later. Ha ha ha, isn't it just an illusion magic? That's all. Quote. Eren, you lost. Your magic has been seen through by me. Master of illusions. Quote. Amora walked calmly in the illusion with a smug cat step. Soon through the illusory outside world, to the real inner space. As soon as he entered, he saw Eren sitting alone on the ground. As for Eren, she was nowhere to be seen. No one to keep. Seeing this scene, Amora was even more difficult to hide her smile. Hey, little genius, your Amora's sister is here. Amora, you're here. As Amora approached, Eren interrupted his meditation and opened his eyes to the legendary seductive witch. A long green dress, long wavy blonde hair, slim figure, attractive red lips. All of them show that she is a stunner. Coupled with her superior psychic enchantment magic, it's no wonder that almost no one of the opposite gender can escape her grasp. Amora gently brushed her curly hair and said in a somewhat teaching tone, Little genius, I am the spiritual magic teacher of the academy. As a former student of Eren, calling the teacher by her name is not something that students should do. Didn't your teacher Eren tell you? Quote. But well, who calls you a handsome little genius? I can allow you to call me Amora-sensei. You say, am I nice to you? Much better than Eren. Quote. She's a famous old antique in the academy. It's not as beautiful and easy to get along with as Mr. Amora. Amora continued to approach, a pair of water-like pupils, and Eren looked at each other. However, to Eren's surprise, Amora did not use the magic of seduction. But he didn't let his guard down. After thinking for a short time, he calmly said, Teacher Eren handed me 3 magics. Quote. When Amora heard this, a trace of consternation flashed in her eyes. What do you mean? Could it be that Eren gave him 3 magics, so she was better than herself? The way of thinking of a magical genius, that's it. Didn't you see a delicate beauty in front of you? Are you so indifferent? Beautiful, kind and plump big sister. Didn't say anything. Amora's soft smile became a little stiff, but she was not a little girl, the city was not low, and she immediately smiled like a flower, and said softly, just taught you 3 magics. I heard she also gave you a magic book for you to study for yourself. Quote. Shaking his head with a bit of concern, he seemed to look down on Eren's behavior very much, and said unfairly for Eren, Eren is still as careful as ever. It must be worried that you will surpass her in magical attainment, so they will hide it from you. Quote. As a sister, after seeing your magical talent, I will definitely teach it to me. Seeing that Eren was still indifferent, Amora knew that this man was a master who did not see rabbits and did not spread eagles. If you don't come up with a little sweetness, you won't be able to fool the other party. Amora really wants to use psychic charm magic to directly trick the other party and herself to leave. But considering that Eren was probably observing nearby, she pressed this thought. And Eren is not terrible, but she is also an illusion master, and it is not easy for her to defeat the other party. If it attracts other teachers, even Frigga and Odin, it will be troublesome. She didn't want to be locked up in a lonely dungeon like her sister. Therefore, Amora thought of using her charm to try to kidnap Eren. As long as she can get Eren on her side and away from Eren, then she has the means to make the other party obedient. In her mind, how could a young man who had just become an adult withstand the temptation of his big sister? It's definitely hand to hand. However, it was only at this moment that Amora felt a little tricky. This magical genius doesn't seem to be easy to take. Eren didn't know what Amora was thinking. Seeing that Amora did not directly use the psychic enchantment and could not test the defensive strength of the psychic barrier magic that had just reached level 3, he still had some regrets in his heart. But on second thought, it is better to find a way to get a few magic spells out of Amora's hands. It's best to get your hands on the Mind Series magic. Maybe you can control the power of the mind in the future. You know, among the 6 Infinity Stones, there is an Infinity Stone named after the heart. This ability of the mind is also a very powerful conceptual force. As for whether it can be magical, Eren glanced at Amora and felt 80% sure. He didn't know what contradictions Amora and Eren had, but judging by how Amora belittled Eren several times, as long as he could take advantage of this relationship, he would definitely be able to make a lot of goods. Maybe you can directly hollow out and squeeze Amora into nothing. Amora did not expect that Eren would dare to calculate himself in the situation of the disparity in strength between the two sides. She just wants to take Eren down now. On the one hand, there are other calculations. On the other hand, I want to see Eren cry. To be honest, she had long been upset with Eren's long-term hostility. If you can kidnap the other party's most valued disciple, I don't know how exciting it will be. Thinking of this, Amora no longer hesitated, and immediately transformed into a teacher mode. Isn't it magic? Sister, I will have more magic. Quote, today I will teach you a new magic, a magic that even Eren can't have, that is the power of reading. This is one of the derivatives of magic, and the most basic use is to control objects to fly freely. Once you are proficient, you can transform magic into a substantial and invisible power that can be taken through the air, which is impossible to guard against, and can also fly. Saying that, Amora opened her hands, and an invisible force lifted her up in the air, and her long skirt also floated slightly with the invisible force. Flight, I think this is floating. Eren complained in his heart. Obviously, the mental power displayed by Amora cannot do the flight she says, at most it is floating. These two tricks have also been used by Loki. During the battle, he floated for a short time, and there seemed to be nothing else except to pose to show his handsomeness. More is to control the dagger with Nyen power, which is also Loki's most common method, and it is also one of his signature skills. As for the power, well, not to be looked at. In addition to being more handsome. All in all, this ability is relatively chicken. But this chicken rib is for Loki and Amora. Falling into Eren's hands, the power of thought exerted is definitely not simply floating, let alone controlling two daggers to attract attention. There are also power masters in Marvel. That is the ebony throat that shines in the Avengers 3. He is one of the 5 obsidian generals under Thanos, and is a powerful master of power reading. The biggest advantage of the power of ebony throat is that it is smooth, and at the same time, it also has extremely powerful control. Even steel can be arbitrarily deformed under the control of his mental power. In Infinity War, Doctor Strange Stephen, who is unfamiliar with him, is easily subdued. The expressiveness is quite impressive. In terms of strength, it ranks first among the 5 generals of Obsidian. The final method of death is quite humiliating, torn apart by Iron Man and Spider-Man, and one is sucked into space without noticing, frozen to death. Even so, his strength is still obvious to all of which shows the terrifying ability of Nyen power. Look at the performance of Loki and Amora. It can only be said that it is unremarkable. You have seriously exerted Nyen power, gained a little, Nyen power proficiency +1. You are serious. Under Amora's shocked gaze, Eren quickly stacked the power to LV2. Subsequently, an invisible force swept around Eren. Amora was completely defenseless, pushed back by the shock wave. Long skirts also danced in the storm. It's a pity that Amora also wears black silk leather pants. Amora gave Eren an angry look, and the latter was unmoved. This is the motivation of thought. Transform magic into a form of mental power and attack all around instead of your hands. Its strength depends on the amount of magic unleashed. In general, few mages use the power of mind like Ebony Throat. The reason is simple, the mages of Asgard use magic that they usually work hard to accumulate. Every time I use magic, I can't wait to split the mana into 2. How can it be extravagant enough to spend magic power and wantonly use the power of mind against the enemy? This is not only magical, but also a great burden on the spirit. Although the power of mind is quite gorgeous and shocking, it can subdue enemies in unexpected ways. But this way, the consumption of magic is too great. It can be done in a more magic-saving way. For example, cold weapon harvesting. Battles that can be solved with physical strength are not at all as expensive as this. Even if you use magic, you don't need to use mental power. It can be done with magic and melee combat. This is also the reason why Asgardian mages rarely use the power of mind. Loki, who has the royal bloodline of the Frost Giant, is also used on special occasions. I'm afraid that the reason why Eren can't read motivation is not that she can't learn, but that she hasn't learned it at all. In comparison, the power control may make more sense. Summon a dagger, well, the same style as Loki. The right hand opened upwards, and the dagger was held up in the air by the invisible hand. From the beginning of the unfamiliar left and right shaking, it did not take long to stabilize the balance, under the control of the mind, around Aaron. After a little familiarity, Aaron pointed in one direction and waved his hand, go. Quote. The dagger turns into a sharp arrow and hits the target with a swoop. After controlling the dagger and returning the same way, Aaron retracted the space and nodded slowly, it's not bad. At present, it can only be described as not bad. Nyen power has a lot of potential, but now limited by level and magic, it will definitely not be able to play much role. But handsome is over. No wonder Loki often uses this trick to show off. Sure enough, pretending to do this kind of thing still depends on Loki. Then, Aaron used the power of mind again and tried to lift his body. The whole person staggered and slowly lifted off into the air. And then, there is no then. Now what Nyen power can do is at most float. Flight does not exist. Alas, there is too little mana. The matter of finding the source of external energy cannot be delayed. Aaron sighed. Amora blinked, her eyes a little confused. Retracting his gaze from the distant crack caused by the dagger piercing, he looked Aaron up and down strangely. Then he saw Aaron floating in the air, and he sighed again. This is learned, looks like. Doesn't seem satisfied yet. Is this a magical genius? Amora pursed her lips, only feeling so sour. The joys and troubles of magical geniuses, I don't understand. I really want to feel this trouble. Amora shook her head, trying to recover from her envy and jealousy. She was afraid that if she thought about it again, she would want to eat the other party. Well, little genius, your magical talent is not bad. I am very happy to be able to barely use Nyen power so quickly, and it is a little worse than me. But don't be complacent, you're still far behind. And the power of this thing is nothing at all. I have a lot of other useful magic, much better than motivation. Quote. In order to avoid being discovered by Aaron's unnatural emotions, Amora quickly changed the topic and did not continue to dwell on the motivation of thought. Her eyes reflected Aaron's figure, and she said in a child-abducting tone. Sister, there are still many good things here, do you want to continue learning? Think. Aaron nodded without thinking. Amora smiled with a successful plan. Come, sister, teach you. Quote. The second magic is energy explosion. Amora sells enough and knows how to fish. Seeing that Aaron did not react, she added, this trick, Aaron will not be yo. Quote. However, Aaron still did not cooperate, but frowned. But after Amora said the name of the energy explosion, he vaguely guessed the magic. A rare and more chicken magic. In memory, only Loki used it once. That time, after hearing that Frigga died because of her own direction, she would not be able to control her emotions, resulting in mental storming and unconscious use of energy explosions. The power is to destroy some tables and stools. This kind of stool, if it is made of ulu metal, it is good to say, it can make people look high. After all, ulu metal is one of Marvel's most special metals, creating several familiar artifacts. For example, Mjolnir, Storm Tomahawk, and later Infinity Gauntlet and Thanos Knife are all ulu metal. The Infinity Gauntlet is able to withstand the power of the Infinity Stones. Thanos' Great Knife can smash the buggy Captain America shield with one slash. Storm Tomahawk almost split Thanos in half and ended Infinity War early. Needless to say, Saul, who is not far away, has the most say. It was his beloved little hammer. Maybe even more important than a girlfriend. But alas, Loki destroyed all the wooden tables and stools. Even if the material is special, what can be a good thing that can be placed in the dungeon? The main thing is that the energy explosion may require a greater amount of mana. Aaron won't, and rightly so. Sure enough, Amora also illustrates this in the following introduction. Energy explosion magic is an offensive magic that turns magic into invisible explosives and inflicts violent damage on surrounding enemies. It is best for clearing the field in the most efficient way in a clan operation. It can both kill and repel. Amora demonstrated it live. Coming to a clearing, the furious magical energy slammed into all directions in an instant. Only listening to the boom, the ground centered on her produced cracks one after another. The earth has also sunken a lot. However, Aaron, who had sharp eyes, keenly saw a flash of pale on Amora's rosy face. Although it quickly returned to normal, it could also be guessed that this move consumed a lot of Amora's magic, and a short mana vacuum gap would appear. If you fight the enemy, you can take this opportunity to achieve a lore. Look, isn't the power quite terrifying? Amora said triumphantly. Erin's fantasy doppelganger, in the face of energy explosions, is not worth mentioning at all. Follow my sister, that's right. Erin rolled his eyes, nodded perfunctorily, and then began to mimic the energy explosion. For a time, a succession of explosions resounded in the sky. And outside, Diva, we can't wait any longer. Amora shot. Quote. Hearing a series of explosions, Erin couldn't sit still at all and wanted to rush in. Don't worry, Erin will be fine. Beside Erin, Frigga stopped the other party without hurrying. In those pupils, a picture appeared. Present the situation inside completely. How could it be okay? The Amaranths, there is simply no man to resist her charm. Quote. And I haven't done more magic with Erin, this must be Amora ghosting. Erin's mind conjures up images of Amora forcibly manipulating Erin, and the evil witch using black magic to do this and that to Erin. It's terrible. At present, it seems that Amora is not manipulating Erin's actions, but is teaching him energy explosion magic. The current movement is all caused by Erin experimenting with new magic. You don't have to panic. Frigga was very steady. Hearing this, Erin finally let go of her heart. But then, a question popped up. Can that woman really teach others magic? Quote. In the Magic Academy, Amora, the teacher of psychic magic, is the most leisurely. Because few people are willing to learn spiritual charm. After that accident, the top secretly instilled the bad side of psychic magic into people. Very few people have learned enchantment magic, and since then, it has been even rarer. It's as if you have learned that kind of magic, and you will be met with strange eyes when you walk out. Coupled with Amora's nature, he will not teach apprentices at all. As a result, Erin couldn't believe that Amora had a moment of teacher. Frigga didn't speak, still staring inside, and if anyone saw her eyes, they could tell that Frigga was not calm at the moment. Magical demon, it really exists. Loki stayed quietly by Frigga's side. Originally, after hearing the series of explosions, he wished that Arondo would suffer a little. Without him, because the other party threatened his status as the first mage, he also satirized himself. Later, after hearing what Frigga said, Loki pouted, his heart full of regret. Why is this happening? How can the seductive witch do good? Something is wrong. Just now, after separating from Saul, Loki found Frigga and thought about learning some new magic from the Queen Mother. Or master the magic you learned. Seeing this, Frigga did not refuse, and Loki took the initiative to learn magic, which is a good thing. A mischievous child has finally grown up. While Frigga was teaching Loki, Erin hurried to the door and said that the seductive witch was going to do something to Erin. At that time, Loki was in a rather cheerful and excited mood. He looked at Erin unfavorably. Genius and genius sometimes have sympathy for each other, but they are more likely to be hostile to each other. What's more, Erin is a demon too. Geniuses are stronger than ordinary people, but in the face of demons. It hurts to think about. Loki is upset and likes to watch Erin eat up. As soon as he heard that something might happen to Erin, he followed Frigga to the Academy of Magic without saying a word, wanting to see Erin's ugly appearance with his own eyes. However, things always surprise people. The notorious Amora actually took it seriously and began to teach people magic, and the teaching object was Erin's guy. It's not upset. This year, the villains are not doing their job. Amora naturally did not know that she was completely belittled by Loki. I didn't know that the Queen of Heaven and Erin were watching from outside, and they could rush in and subdue her at any time. Her guess was not wrong. Erin was painstakingly trying to watch out for her. Not only did he impose an illusion scene to delay time, but he also invited the Queen of Heaven to prevent accidents. At the moment, Amora opened her mouth wide and watched blankly as Erin repeated the energy explosion. So fierce, so fast, it's scary. Learning is as fast as ever. The speed of improvement is still scary. Spell casting proficiency is super fierce. Oh sins, the heart hurts. Erin, on the other hand, sensed that the mana loss exceeded a certain limit after practicing energy explosions many times, and immediately stopped. After a short period of practice, Erin was almost familiar with the properties of energy explosions. It was quite cool when I used it, but when I recovered my magic, I scolded my mother. After almost familiarizing himself, Aaron put it on the shelf for the time being. No way, he has just come into contact with magic, he has too little time to accumulate mana, and coupled with the talent that requires frequent use of magic, he is destined to not be able to retain too much magic power at all times. Energy storms, for now, are too extravagant. Learned again. As soon as he said it, Amora wanted to slap himself. Isn't that obvious? But this learning speed is too fast, I can't experience the joy of being a teacher at all. It turns out that being a teacher is so boring. Aaron, that guy, why is it so exciting to be a teacher? Irrationality. Inexplicably, a stunned emotion arose. She didn't want to be a teacher anymore, or even teach magic. Taught the students, I am afraid that I will not starve the teacher to death. Wait a minute, I heard that Aaron learned Aaron's illusion magic on the same day, and he was also able to create an energy entity doppelganger, and his illusion magic attainment was not weaker than Aaron. If I taught him the magic of psychic charm, does it mean that in a few days, he will be able to surpass me in this area? At that time, will you still be able to seduce each other? It should be said, who seduces whom? Amora's expression changed, and she was frightened by her own thoughts. Could it be that there will be a seductive wizard in the future? Sister Amora, Aaron called. Amora came to his senses. If Aaron had called her sister before, she would have been happy. And now, not thinking so, she is afraid. She was afraid that Aaron would continue to call her sister, and when the time came, should she teach more magic, even psychic magic? If you don't get it right, that day will really come. She could understand why Aaron was so flustered, and even used the enchanted magic book to send the other party away. If the two sides were exchanged, she would definitely do the same. However, she couldn't get another enchanted magic book. Amora is different from Aaron. She specializes in psychic magic, and has little specialization in enchantment. Aaron, on the other hand, specializes in illusion magic, which is not as difficult as psychic magic, and spends almost all of her time on magic, so she has more time to learn enchanted magic. At this moment, Amora felt remorse. It even arises whether to directly seduce the other party to finish the matter. Aaron is a magical demon. If left unchecked, it won't be long before its magic level leaves itself far behind. At that time, who pinched who was really unsure. Just as Amora was thinking, Aaron seemed to know her heart, and as soon as he spoke, he calmed her. Sister Amora, I heard that you were a famous master of psychic magic, then, would you like to try to seduce me? Amora's face is quite wonderful. She suspected she had misheard. You mean, let me seduce you? Yes, I want to try. Aaron said seriously. After seeing Amora's complexion just now, Aaron knew that it was hopeless to continue pressing at this moment. This look is the same as when he asked Aaron for advice at the Academy of Magic. He was even wondering if he should be a little dull next time. Otherwise, it is very difficult for the teacher. One by one, they were all hit with doubtful life. It can only be said that the talent of heaven rewards hard work is indeed too buggy. If you change to Aaron, it will not be much better than the two. Genius is still within the scope of acceptance, and as for demons, it is indeed difficult to accept. Aaron didn't want to be that sensational either, but time waited for no one. Now in Asgard, the teaching environment is much better than the earth, and there is not so much intrigue. Otherwise, he would not have been so undisguised. The truth that Mushu is in the forest, the wind will destroy it, is not difficult to understand. Aaron replied in the affirmative. Amora was panicked and dazed. She wondered if Aaron could read minds and something like that had seen through her inner thoughts. Or is it an unknown prophet? No, probably not. He didn't have access to that high level of magic. So, Aaron simply wanted to verify the legend of the seductive witch. Could it be that my acting skills are too good and I act too much like the big sister who leads the family? For some reason, Amora was even a little happy. But she still did not let her guard down, quite like a frightened hare, and said cautiously, "Do you know what you are talking about? Aren't you afraid that after I seduce you, I will make you do something that you can't stand it?" Quote. I'm not afraid. Quote. The air fell silent for a while. Amora was confused, going around in circles, How did it go back to square one? Originally, I didn't want to be ruthless, but the other party actually took the initiative to ask him to be ruthless. It's so difficult. It's hard to be a good person once, how is it so difficult? Amora looked at Aaron carefully again, and after making sure that he was not joking, he no longer hesitated. She was not a good person, and directly launched the enchantment magic. Do you see me beautiful? I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.